Hey everyone, welcome back to Boho Jewel on YouTube. I'm Sandra, and I wanted to show you today how to make these cute little fingerless gloves. So these are small because I made these for my daughter. There's one completely folded out, and this is one where you can fold the top down. So she and I decided we were going to kind of twin it because I really liked this yarn. So here you can see where I've rolled that top flap down just for a decorative effect. Or, you can even leave it rolled out. But I found this pattern. I was actually going to share this last week, and I had gotten the wrong kind of yarn. The yarn I had gotten was a little too thick, so I did the orange and black gloves instead. But these are kind of cute. So I'm going to break this down into two different parts just to make the really basic body of the glove first. So if you want to just do that part, you can leave it like that. And then I'm going to do another video showing you how to add the little shell stitches and the top part of it on there. It took me a while to decipher the pattern and figure out how to get this done and how many counts I needed. It was just kind of confusing to me. I'm sure someone who's been crocheting forever and ever would get it right away, but yeah, I had to call in some outside help to help me kind of figure some of this stuff out. So this is the pattern sheet that I found, and I just found it at Hobby Lobby. A lot of times the craft stores will have just these cute little free pamphlets with ideas, and it has for the scarf and the hat and the gloves in there. I actually did the scarf too, so I'll do another tutorial on that one. But sometimes I find the directions, and maybe it's just me, it's probably just me, sometimes the directions are confusing. But this calls for a 4 medium yarn, and that's what I kind of wanted to talk about for a second first, because this one you can see, well, let me get the fuller size. This yarn, I really like the different colors in this one, but you can probably still kind of see that this yarn is quite a bit thinner than the one that I'm using to demo for you guys today. So you can see how this just comes out a bit thicker. And then the yarn that I used in the video last week was even thicker than this, which is why I switched gears. So a lot of times when you look at 4 medium, I am noticing that it really depends on the brand of the yarn as well, what their 4 medium or whatever other number sizes they're using could determine. So make sure when you're purchasing your yarn, depending on the project you're doing, you're going to get the yarn thickness that you want. Now, one thing too that I've noticed, even if the yarn feels a little rough, this one really doesn't, but if the yarn feels a little rough at first, a lot of times when you wash it, it will start to soften up. So this is the, I'm going to use this purple color for the body of the glove, and this is Impeccable yarn, and it is 4 medium, and it calls for a 5mm hook, which I have right here, this 5mm hook. So we're going to get started. Now, initially for this, it calls for a longer body of the glove, but I've already got a couple like that, so I'm going to shorten it. So keep that in mind. You can shorten this to any length that you want. I'm going to make this one a little shorter just for demonstration purposes, since I had some technical difficulties last week as well. So we're going to get started on this. And it's pretty much, I'd say it's kind of an intermediate to advanced project, just depending on where you're at with your crochet skills. Because you do need to know a couple of different types of stitches, and hopefully, if you don't know them, I'll be able to show them to you today. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to create our slip knot, and this is the way I always do mine. I roll that yarn behind, I pull the front one up, slide my hook back here, and pull it forward. So now the initial pattern, the original pattern rather, calls for 35 chain, a chain of 35. So I'm going to do one a little bit shorter this time, so I'm just going to chain 25. So I'm going to take my yarn, pull it through my loop, and there's my chain 1, 2, pull it through, 3, 4, And always, if you are kind of a beginner at crochet, you don't want to hold your needle or your crochet hook or anything, your yarn, too tight. You don't want tension happening here because it's going to give you problems when you try to go work back in through there. So you don't want them too loose either. Just kind of keep it comfortable. Okay, so that's 25. Take a little sip of water. Allergies are still trying to sneak in. The pollen's still trying to get us, even though we're officially into fall. It doesn't feel like it right now. We still have this crazy 90-degree weather and lots of pollen. Okay, so I have my chain of 25. So on the first row, I'm going to half double crochet all the way down. So a half double crochet, you wrap the yarn around your needle, your hook. I keep calling it a needle. You wrap your yarn around your hook, put it through that first loop, okay? The first chain away from the loop. So you're not putting it back into this one where you just came out of, but the next one. Wrap that around once, put it into the next chain, and then pull over again, pull it through, and you have 3 loops on your hook, and then you're going to pull the yarn through all of those, and that is your half double crochet. So again, you wrap that yarn around, put it through your chain, wrap the yarn around again, and then you're going to pull the yarn through all 3. That is your half double crochet. So you're going to do that all the way down. And this is basically the stitch that you're going to use for the entire body of the glove. So once you get to the end of it, you will be a pro at these half double crochets if you are not already. So I'm going to half double crochet all the way down to the end. And it wants to curl just a little bit. But that'll work itself out. So again, just don't hold your yarn or anything too tight. It should be relaxed, meditative, fun kind of thing, the crochet. Nothing tense. And I think that's really what I like about it so much. It's something that once I figure out what I'm doing, and once I figure out the stitches and the technique, I can just kind of zone out into it a little bit. So it's kind of a nice, relaxing activity. Good for the stress, which we all have in one form or another these days. All right, so now I'm going into my last chain, and I'm going to finish my half double crochet right there, and then I'm going to chain 2. So I'm just going to pull that yarn through once and pull it through twice, and that is my chain 2. Turn it around, and now again I'm going to half double crochet all the way down, just like we did. So I'm going to have to pull my yarn through, and through that first loop right there, pull my hook through, and it's the same thing. Half double crochet, find that loop, the next chain right there, all the way down to the end. Get some more yarn. I did a craft show this past weekend and it was so much fun. I loved it. It was the first one I've done in a while because I've been doing a lot of other activities, and it was just so good to get back out there and see people I haven't seen in a while, make some money from things that I love to make. But anyway, my mom has been crocheting some really fancy, cute snowflakes and angels, and it's all with very thin thread, and they're very delicate and pretty. And I was telling people I love doing things like this. I can do scarves and dishcloths and things where a pattern or a stitch repeats itself a lot. But if I had to do all of those little tiny details and miscount, because if you've watched me at all, you know I'm not really great with the numbers, and have to take it apart again, I would go bananas and get frustrated probably. So maybe years from now I'll have the patience. So we're going back into our last chain right there again, and finish that half double crochet, chain 1, chain 2, and now here is where it changes just a little bit, and this is where the pattern comes from that you're going to work for the rest of the body of your glove. My yarn got a little noodled up. So you're going to half double crochet into the back loop only on this row. So you have 2 rows of half double crochet just normally, and now we're going to half double crochet into the back loop. So we're going to start our half double crochet like normal, but you're going to see, let me get it into the camera to where you can really see, instead of going through the entire loop right here like we have been, you're going to go just down through the center, just like that. So it's like you're working in the middle of the stitch. It's like you're just taking it through that back loop. So the same thing on the next one. So we've worked through that one. Come on, quit being blurry. And we're going to put it through that next one. And then you do that all the way down. So you're working just in that back loop, but it's the same stitch. You wrap it around, pull it through just the back loop, and pull it back up, and then crochet through all, or pull the yarn through all 3 loops. So you're just working that same thing, that half double crochet, all the way down, just through the back loops. And so now what's going to happen, you're going to work that all the way to the end, and then you're going to alternate your rows. So we're going to get this all the way down to the end with our half double crochet in the back loop, and then once we get to the end, chain 2, turn it, and then double crochet again through both loops. I mean, not double crochet, half double crochet through both loops. So just through the back loop, my yarn is being temperamental. All these technical difficulties lately with the crochet. So right through that back loop all the way down, and you will see that it starts to create a little ridge. So you can see where it creates that little bit of a difference right here, where it creates that kind of that line. Can't see it as much on the other side, but you can see right there where it creates that difference in texture. So all the way down to the end, and on the last stitch, that last chain, you're still just going to work it through that back loop, finish your half double crochet, 1, 2, turn it around, and then you will go back through and put it all the way through both loops. And so now you're just going to alternate that back and forth. And a tip that I have for you, what I did was I just started keeping track on a sticky note, because to look at this, for me, it was really difficult to go back and count the rows to see where I was, so I wouldn't forget. You could just take out your row and see if you did a half double crochet in the last one, in the back loop rather, or if you did it through both loops. But this way I would just, as soon as I finished a row, I would write it down, and I noticed that the odd numbers are the back loop, and then the even numbers are through both loops. So once you finish the body of your glove, once you get it to the size that you want it, now for me, I did 18 rows. 18 rows back and forth. But, you know, depending on your hand size, if your hands are a little bigger than mine or a little smaller than mine, you might want to make that a little different. You might want to add a row or subtract a row. But to figure that out, you just take the body of your glove and check every once in a while. Put your hand down, fold it over, see if it meets in a good place to where it feels like it would be comfortable. And keep in mind, the crochet yarn, after you wear it for a little bit, it will kind of loosen up anyway. So you don't want it too tight, but you don't want to make it too big either. So now you'll see we have this 2 different appearances. So this right here is going to be the inside of your glove. And this right here, you have this really pretty pattern. That's going to be the outside. That's what we want on the outside. So to finish this up, to close this up, you're going to keep your yarn on here. So this is our last stitch. Right, so we're half double crochet through here. And then instead of starting another row, I'm just going to take that and I'm going to pull through just like that, okay? And leave that yarn on there. So I'm going to take my pretty side, this is the side with the pretty pattern, and I'm going to fold that toward the inside. And now we're going to close this up with slip stitches. So the main thing with this part of it is that you want to make sure your loops are lined up. So you want to make sure you have it pretty nice and neat because you don't want to skip any loops. And basically what we're going to do is you're going to pull that through, oh, wrong one, pull that through the opposite loop, take your yarn, let me show you that better, that was a little mixed up. So you've got this, you've got your yarn in your hand, you're going to pull that through that first loop right there, pull the yarn through, and then you're going to pull it through the next loop. Just like that. We're going to do that all the way down. So we're going to yarn, pull it through, pull it through. You know what? I got ahead of myself. Sorry, guys. You don't have to pull that over first. You just push it through the next loop, pull that yarn through, and then through that stitch right there. I don't know why I got confused on that. I think it's just that time of day. I think it's time for a coffee break. So again, we're just going to make sure we're lined up. We're going to put our hook through right there and then put it through the hole on the other side that matches, yarn over, pull the yarn through those loops, and then pull it through right here. And we're going to do that all the way up, depending on where you want your thumb space to be is where you're going to stop. So I personally, on this one, like to leave at least 5 spaces at the end, somewhere about there, because I am going to add the little ruffles right here to it as well with the gray, which I'll do in another video. Just in case you don't want to do that part and just to make it easier to check and to reference. So you just keep doing this all the way up. Now, if you do the full 35 chain in the beginning, if you do the full chain of 35, then the pattern suggests doing doing the slip stitches for, let's see, where is it? To 25. And then once you reach your 25, you leave 5 spaces. The 5 spaces felt a little small for me. It felt a little tight for my thumb. So that's something, again, that when you do this, make sure you're just stopping and kind of testing to see where you would be comfortable because it's your project. Now, if you're doing these to sell, you're going to just have to do some general sizes and kind of guesstimate, like if you have some friends or kids and you want to test on their hands, and then people are just going to have to try them on, and you're just going to have to kind of, you know, kind of see what they can get for it, you know. It's a customizable thing. Maybe you can do custom orders, but don't stress, don't think that there's a perfect size, I guess is what I'm saying. So to me right there, I feel like that's about where I would want my thumb to be. Let's see, because it is a little shorter this time. Yep, so right about there. So let's see, I'm going to just right here now, I'm going to work just in the one side. Okay, so let me gather my yarn again. So now what I'm going to do is, instead of slipping through both loops, all the way through both sides, I'm just going to slip through on the one side. Just like that. 1, leaving that space open. 2, 3, 5, and 6. Yep. And then I'm going to double check to make sure that that seems like it would be enough space and not too much space and not too loose. And I think that will be good. So now I'm going to take it and wiggle it back together, line it back up again. And again, work through both spaces. So I'm going into my next space here and making sure I'm lined up across the way to pick that back up again. Whoops, get back in there. Just like that, all the way to the end. And that little string there is from the beginning. I have not worked it in yet, but I will show you how to work those ends. There we are in that last little space. And I'm going to work that through. And then I'm just going to take this one, pull this through right here, and pull it a little ways. Give me some room to work with and cut that off. So there is that. Now I'm going to take my needle and work both of those threads through, those extra threads, to tuck them away and make sure they're nice and secure. And all I do with that is I just kind of see where I want to hide it. You can really, there's no magical place to hide your last bits of thread, just somewhere you can comfortably get your needle through and make sure that that yarn is worked in so it's not going to come loose. Oh, but you don't want to sew up your thumb hole. That would be missing the point there. Okay. And I probably wiggle my threads in way more than you need to. That is just my personality. I would rather be super sure that it's not going to come loose and wiggle out anywhere than to have an incident. So you may see other videos where they don't work it in as much as I do, and it's not wrong. It's just that I am overly cautious with such things. It is the Virgo in me, perfectionist in me. There we go. All right. Oh. Okay, and now you're going to turn it inside out. And that's that. So then you have your pretty pattern on the outside. Just like that. And there you have the body of your glove. Now this, I think these are cute just as they are, and it's something simple. I mentioned this in the last video. I like the fingerless gloves in the wintertime, especially when I've done so many outside shows because, you know, it's just, I can still work with my fingers and it keeps my hands a little bit warm too. And they're still trendy. They've been a trend for a while, but I don't think it's going anywhere. I think people like them. So for that reason, because you can still use your fingers and play on your phone and whatever you've got to do. So I will do another video. I'm going to go ahead and get the little frills put on this one and get the other one made so that I can show you how to do those cute little add-ons. But if you just want to leave it like this, you could leave it like this. And you have a pretty pattern. And again, make it as long as you want to. You could even make it a little shorter if you wanted to. Or a little longer just up here. So play around with it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I am really enjoying these gloves. I'm going to enjoy having some new gloves to wear this winter. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel for lots of other tutorials and craft show tips and other fun things that I like to share just because I love to share. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great rest of your day.